Greetings, everyone. This is Jeff Wilkerson, Professor of Physics at Luther College, bringing you once again what to look for in the night sky. This time we're talking about the week of November 8th, 2021. So last week was a great week. Gave you a project to work on, and I know you're all working on it because when I give people projects to work on, of course they work on them. And we were looking at Jupiter and Saturn moving against the background stars, particularly Jupiter. We could see moving relative to background stars. We could say, let's watch it for the entire month of November and see the progress, the eastward progress it makes against the background stars. Prograde motion right now. We're not passing those planets in such a way that we see them moving westward against the stars, retrograde motion. So it's a great, beautiful. Oh man, the skies have been beautiful lately. And Jupiter and Saturn just glowing beautifully in the evening sky. And so that's what we talked about last week. If you haven't seen that video, it's worth going back and watching it. If you have seen it, it's probably worth going back and watching it 4 or 5 more times. That's what I do. I just sit around and eat snacks and watch my videos on continuous loop here. But anyway, it's a good project to watch these things moving. What we like to do, as you know, is we like to pick up threads of what we've talked about before, move them in a slightly new direction. Maybe we call that getting stuck in a rut. We can't come up with new ideas, so we just keep talking about the same thing. But what I've noticed this week is just how big and beautiful Venus still is in the evening sky. So Venus continues this idea. So we're going to talk about Venus this week. We're going to go back and talk about Jupiter and Saturn just a little bit. The first thing I want you to note when you go outside. So you go outside this week, next week, the week of the 8th, the week of the 15th, probably the week of the 22nd. So the rest of the month here still in November. You go outside in the evening and you look to the south and you got Jupiter and Saturn maybe off just a little bit to the east of south, rising into the sky somewhat, but getting pretty much south. Venus off to the west. And you can draw an arc, a smooth arc that connects those planets. And so I recommend you do it. Do it with your arm. Just go out and draw an arc across the sky like that connects those planets. So you're doing this and seeing, it's basically a line in a spherical coordinate system. The sphere of the celestial sphere is the inside of the sphere that we're looking at when we look up at the night sky. And so you can see this arc or a line on a sphere that connects those planets across there. What you can't see is that Pluto's right there, and Neptune is right out here, also on that arc. it's across there. The reason that's an arc, or the reason that's a line in spherical coordinates that connects those planets, is because the solar system is a flattened plane. When we look in a flat disk to see all of the planets, and not up here and not down there. So the major bodies of the solar system, anyway, orbit in this flat disk. The ecliptic plane, we call that, and you can really get a sense of that. So one of the learning goals, when I teach astronomy, which I'm doing right now, I have a series of learning goals. This is the way we teach, right? We start with a series of learning goals, and we say, okay, why do we want these to be the learning goals? And we refine those, and then we say, okay, let's build the course around that. Let's build the daily activities and the homework assignments and the projects to try to make progress on these learning goals. What do we want people to be better at by the end of this course? And so this is what we're doing here right now. And one of those that the way I articulate it for the students is geometrical imagination, is to be able to envision geometry in the universe. And this is one of those things that we're doing right now, is we're practicing our geometrical imagination as we see the arc of these planets. Venus is big and bright and beautiful in the evening sky, shining out there when you walk out. It's just been glittering. The skies have been so beautiful lately. And so we add that to the Jupiter and Saturn that we looked at last week. Now, in the week coming up, on the 10th and the 11th, Wednesday evening, Thursday evening, the basically half full moon, just, goes maybe from just slightly less than half to slightly more than half, but the half full moon slides from beneath Saturn to beneath Jupiter. So this is going to be on Wednesday, Thursday of the week ahead. This is going to be a beautiful region of the sky to watch the half full moon making a triangle here with Jupiter and Saturn, and moving also west to east from Saturn to Jupiter. So we refer back to what we talked about last week with Jupiter and Saturn, and remind you to be doing your project of watching Jupiter move against the background stars and watch the moon move through this region. It's going to be a great week for that. But Venus is also doing that. Venus is also tracking eastward through the stars, and it's trying to fight. You know, the sun just set. The sun is part of this arc over here too, right? And the sun just set. And Venus is fighting the glow of the sun. It's trying to pull away from the sun there and not get lost in the sun. It's not going to win that battle, but it's trying to do that and to move away there against the stars in an eastward pattern like the other planets right here. And so what we're going to do, I've got this arrow here to remind me, what we're going to do is we're going to blow up this region of the sky. Venus is in Sagittarius right now. And we said Jupiter, if you watch for the month, you shouldn't have any doubt that Jupiter's moving against the background stars. Venus is moving much more quickly against the background stars. The only problem is they're harder to see, these background stars, because by the time it gets good and solid dark, these are way down on the western horizon and setting. And Sagittarius, where Venus is right now, you know, that's where the cluster is that I study and do research on. And I've stopped doing research a couple of months ago, a month ago. 1 month ago, it was about the last time that we could take research data because Sagittarius is so close to the horizon at sunset that we can't really see it in the evening sky long enough to take data. We can't get the telescopes pushed down to that part of the sky. So anyway, one of my rules, I got rules. I know it doesn't seem like I do, but I have rules, and that is I stopped a long time ago drawing on the board. I pre-draw on the board because my ability to draw is so poor. I need to take my time and do this. So I stopped doing it while we're shooting the video, but here we're going to actually do it. Sagittarius, I want to blow this region up so it's easier to see. Sagittarius looks like a teapot. There's the body of the teapot. There's the lid of the teapot. There's the spout of the teapot. And here's the handle of the teapot. Okay? We probably looked at this before. So we have the teapot. There you go. The handle's just out a little bit too far for what we've drawn right here. Let's rein that handle in. And so, fairly bright star. All the stars of Sagittarius are about the same brightness. So all of the stars of Sagittarius are medium bright stars. That's a pretty bright star right there. This week, if you go out on, say you're out there on the 11th, okay? Let's go out on the 11th. Let's look at the moon shining below Jupiter and swing over to Venus. And Venus is going to be right in there, okay? In this triangle of stars that makes up the lid of Sagittarius. If you can't see that in the glow of the sun, binoculars might help, okay? Wait as long as you can. You can't let it set too far, but let it get as dark as you can after the sun sets, and see if you can pick out Venus relative to these stars, maybe next to that star right there. But what's going to happen 1 week later? Go out on the 18th and 19th, Thursday and Friday of the following week, when the moon is basically full and slipped well out of range of what we've drawn right here. You go out and Venus will have moved right over next to this star. And Venus will in fact make a very nice pairing in the week ahead, about the 18th and 19th, with this star in Sagittarius right there. Definitely worth getting the binoculars out and trying to track Venus's progress. So in 1 week, Venus will cross most of Sagittarius right there. So Venus is really moving. Let's go in this direction on this diagram. Really moving against the background stars. And hopefully you get a chance to see that. Hopefully you can check that out. I recommend binoculars for that to really try to make this work for you. Keep watching Jupiter move. Watch the moon slide through this region. Should be a good week ahead. I hope everybody has clear skies and good viewing. And we'll have something new and yet similar next week for us. I don't know what that is, but we'll talk about something interesting in the night sky. Have a good week, everybody.